Not very long from now, in a galaxy that is this one. Moon Wars! Dun, 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 dun. Wait, if I keep doing that, but I'm not playing it, am I still going to get taken down for copyright? We'll see, but in the meantime, this is CSC, and I'm Eric Allen. Let's get started. So, yes, if you didn't catch the Star Wars reference there, it's also related to the article that we're going to go over this week. But hi, everyone. How are you doing? I do have to go over the mug of the week. I'm so excited about it because it's Yoda. Do or do not. There is no try. And the man, the myth, the Muppet himself. Yeah, he's a Muppet, just so you know, not real. I was crushed too. It's okay. We'll both get over it together. I'm very excited to talk also about the article that we're going to discuss later on because it is very relevant to what you're doing if you're in college right now. You freshmen, you first year students, you hopefully not first out of fifth or sixth. I mean, you do know that Pew Research study that shows 46% of students who go to a four-year college don't end up getting a degree in 6 years. You're not one of those people, though. You're a smart one because you're with us and we do things right. So really glad that you're on here. Oh, wait, you're not a subscriber? I mean, you'll watch all the videos though, right? You comment, get your questions answered. No? I don't know what to tell you. 46% is almost half of students who go to college, and you're a freshman and you're sitting there going, yeah, I don't know though if I should subscribe to something that makes sure that I'll be super successful in life. You should join us. It'll be great. We have a lot of really great content. There's tools, there's things online that you can check out and actually make your life a little easier, a little better. There are articles and expertise and things that we have on there that are just not available for our regularly scheduled YouTube program. And of course, you get to ask questions and get them answered live after the paywall closes on everybody else. And so if you want to get all of those perks and benefits, it's just $0 a week for the first 2 weeks, and after that it's $50. And honestly, it's really not about the money, as I've been saying. It's about the time. You put in the time, you put in the effort, you want to be a part of this community, you will get good results. You'll get great results. So it's what we're dealing with here. Great's not good enough. So can't wait to see you next week. In the meantime, for everyone here, it's time for the article of the week. This week's article is in the comments and the questions and answers for you wonderful people who are already on here live. For everybody on the YouTubes, you can check this out on the description. There's a link to it, so I will give you a second to check on that. And let's get talking about it. Here's why China's launch to the far side of the moon is a big deal. This may be a precursor for a space race back to the moon. This is from ARS Technica. This is actually really cool. And I want to talk about the moon issue and the dark side of the moon and not the conspiracy theories surrounding it. There's plenty of other channels for that. You can check those out. They're very fun, very interesting. But don't waste a ton of your time because, you have to study and stuff. So anyway, late last week, it says, China launched an ambitious mission that will send a lander and rover to the far side of the moon. This Chang'e 4 spacecraft represents a significant achievement for China, as no other nation has ever softly landed a rover on the side of the moon facing away from Earth, including us in the United States. Them in the United States, if you're not from there. If successful, this mission will carry out several lines of important scientific research on the still somewhat unknown far side of the moon. However, the launch and landing of Chang'e 4 also helps to reveal the full scope of China's spaceflight ambitions and how the space program furthers the country's ambitious geopolitical goals. In this post, we try to unpack some of the implications. So basically, China is really looking to do this landing on the far side of the moon, and it is significant. It's a global impact. It will further science quite a bit. It will further China's space program. And one of the things that this could trigger is a new space race. So I'll do a little bit more of this, but the reason why, so that you're not kind of like, all right, well, Eric, why are you doing these science and tech articles? As much as I know you love science and tech articles, and I am in a Star Wars theme this week, like, what are you doing? Hazelnut. Oh, that almost sounded like Yoda. It wasn't even an awful impression. So, what happened? On Saturday morning, local time in China, a Long March 3B rocket sent a 4-ton lander and a 140-kilogram rover into space, and then this Chang'e spacecraft performed a translunar injection to send it flying toward the moon. The spacecraft should reach lunar orbit on Wednesday. China has not said when it will attempt to land on the far side of the moon, but observers speculate the attempt will likely occur the first 3 days of January. So looking forward to that in the new year. Before this landing takes place, Chang'e 4 will have to link up with the Keikyo. I mean, I'm not going to try. Not great on the Mandarin. It's been a while. Relay spacecraft, which will have line of sight communications with both the lander, which is expected to set down in the South Pole, Aitken Basin, as well as Earth. So it already happened, right? This sucker already like took off, and it's hanging out in lunar orbit. So what we're looking at is a January 3rd, hopefully launch, like touchdown on the dark side of the moon, which is really cool. Like, think about that. We have not been to the dark side of the moon as human beings. That's pretty interesting. Why the far side of the moon? Due to tidal locking, Earth always faces one side of the moon while the other side faces away from our planet. Pink Floyd albums notwithstanding, this side is not dark as it receives about as much sunlight as the far side facing, or as the side facing the planet, as the Earth-Moon system rotates around the sun. They had to add Pink Floyd. You know, I was going to do the music from that in the beginning of this because obviously the article, but somebody was definitely going to cut down my YouTube video and say it was copyright, so I did not. People are pretty protective. They love them some Pink Floyd. The Soviet Luna 3 mission took the first grainy photographs of the far side of the moon in 1959. And in 1962, NASA's Ranger spacecraft impacted the surface. It crashed into it. Like great job. So it impacted the surface, probably intentionally, maybe not. But aside from the Apollo mission flybys and some recent lunar orbiters, the far side remains relatively unexplored. The far side has a much more rugged, densely cratered appearance compared to the large, smoother Maria that dominate the side of the moon facing the Earth. The precise reasons for this remain a mystery to scientists who are eager to make a situ measurements of the far side of the moon. So they can't wait to get on there and find out what's going on this side of the moon and why it has such a different landscape than the side that's facing us. I mean, I've obviously got theories, like if this is the side, our side of the moon is the one that's getting all of the gravitational pull, maybe that would impact where the lava comes out, which is really when you see the dark spots on the moon. Ooh, science lesson with Eric. So when you see the dark parts of our side of the moon, not the dark side of the moon, but those darker gray areas, that's lava. At least that's what I was told, but I wasn't there, so I don't know for sure. And before you send me emails telling me that nobody was there, like pump the brakes a little bit. Let's just keep the information at a point where, I can handle it. I don't know. And it'd be great if send me links, send me articles if you really don't believe that we went. Always interested in different perspectives. I'm not going to judge you. I will judge the evidence though, and then I might judge you. I'm judging you in my head. I don't even know if you're going to do it or not, but go ahead. I'm very interested. What will the lander and rover do? So that's a good question. The lander will set down in the oldest and deepest impact basin on the moon. I don't know how they know that. We have not been there, but we know the oldest and deepest impact basin on the moon. Man, do you know, the oldest part of something that you own? I mean, how do they know the oldest and deepest part of the moon on that side? Are you not bothered by this? I'm bothered by this. This is turning into a rant. This is honestly, what this is turning into is nerd rage. Anyway, what they're going to do is focus on lunar geology. Just bringing it down. Scientists believe rocks here will have a different composition than the lunar samples collected by the Apollo missions on the near side of the moon. And here's a quote. It's possible this basin is so deep that it contains material from the moon's inner mantle, space scientist Tamela Maciel noted on Twitter. Oh, good. So we're learning on Twitter now. By landing on the far side of for the first time, the Chang'e Chang'e 4 lander and rover will help us understand so much more about the moon's formation and history. Cool. Thanks, Tamala. The mission will provide China and other nations with information about best practices for operating a rover on a surface that never directly faces Earth and therefore must communicate through a relay satellite. That's cool. It should also provide data for astronomers who would like to one day establish a radio astronomy observatory on the far side of the moon, which is shielded from the Earth's copious radio and satellite communications. So that's really cool. So essentially what they want to do is use the moon like a giant guard so that they can put those radio telescopes so that they can listen out really far and do radio communication experiments without all the interference from the Earth, because there will be this very long cone of protection that the radio signals will not be able to get past the moon on, which will make clean communication possible. And maybe it'll be easier to listen in on all those aliens that keep sending those like torpedoes through the middle of our solar system. If you saw that, I don't know if you read that. There was a torpedo. I can't back that up. There was something that it came through. Just look it up. Anyway, look it up. There's lots of, even, I'm not crazy. Okay, Harvard was even saying this could have been a probe. Not that kind of probe. Now you're just being weird. Now I'm talking to myself. Okay, so does China plan to follow up with humans? China has an increasingly ambitious space program, which it views as critical to establishing itself as a global superpower. China has both military ambitions in space, where some of its technologies rival the United States, as well as the desire for international prestige by doing new and interesting things in space. So I'm going to stop here on this article because this was the really important part. Why does this matter for you as a freshman in college in the year 2018, soon to be 2019? Well, here's some reasons why. Manned, planned lunar missions from China, which inevitably will lead to a response from NASA and from the European Union. All of these groups are going to look to establish military dominance, but also scientific prestige. So whether you're more of the mind of, I really want to get involved in military technology, which, by the way, there's no reason why you couldn't do that as a civilian. See Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works, Apple, etc. Amazon? Google. So there are a lot of civilian interfaces with military intelligence and technologies, but also if you are looking for the scientific aspect of that, you're a first year student and you're sitting there saying, what is it that I really want to do? You want to go to space, or you at least want to be a part of what's going on in space. I can't disagree with Shatner and with Patrick Stewart and many of the others. Space really is the final frontier. It's really cool. Like, there's also a lot of money involved. So this is my 2 cents, right? And you could get a nickel back, I guess, on it, but then you'd have nickel back, and that's a whole other story for another day. The point is, this could be very lucrative and it could be very interesting. And I'm not just saying like, oh, well, you have to be involved in astrophysics or you should be involved in geology so that you can get up there and you could start doing work on space rocks, or you have to be involved in radio communication technology. No, you actually could be involved in psychology and specialize in traumatic situations or claustrophobia studies or in group dynamics or in relational studies, and specialize yourself out right now for something that you perceive to be marketable for a space program to take into consideration. And you could be contracted or hired for that sort of thing. It's not often in this time period that there would be something so vast and so big and so new and lucrative that it could open up a ton of different markets for somebody who's looking to be a little bit savvy, a little bit risky, and a little bit innovative. So if you want to be those things, if you are looking for something that makes you go, wow, space is it. I mean, if you're not going wow about space, like, I don't know what to tell you. I can't help you. Again, you saw the nerd rage before. But it's true. We all have this desire to know more about whether or not we're alone. It's one of the most asked questions in the world. Are we alone? So in the pursuit of that, if you have countries doing a new space race to find out, who's going to stack up in the global superpowers, there's a lot of opportunity there. So brush up on your Mandarin, find out how to speak some kind of European language, and figure out how you can market your skill set for the potential new space race that's coming up. That's the article of the week. So thank you all for listening in on this week's awesome article. I'm really excited about things like that. I love to talk about new technologies. By the way, I will continue to report more information as it comes up on new opportunities and new markets. If you are confused and you're like, I have no idea how to do this, talk to your advisor, bring up the idea, throw them the article. You can even send them to my YouTube channel and just send them the link and be like, listen, watch this. And then you tell me, what is it that I could do in my field with this? If you're interested. If you're not, no harm, no foul. I mean, you know, I'm judging you a little bit too, but no harm, no foul. I'm not judging you as much as the one that's saying that we were never there, because clearly if we're competing and getting civilian contracts and growing people's careers in this and it's all fake, I think that's actually more impressive than going to the moon. I do want to get to the questions and answers this week, and I want to talk a little bit more about what it means to utilize your network that you've been building. It's been long enough. You guys really, you should be working this a little bit, and you should know the names of people. So we're going to get into that in a second. But for all of you who are watching this on the YouTube, I do have to say goodbye to you. So goodbye. I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing the Sound of Music, but it's in your head now. You're thinking about it. You're welcome. I'll see you guys next week.